After Labor's crushing defeat on Saturday, Paul Henderson has stepped aside as party leader, making way for Delia Lawrie to take the reins after a long wait in the wings. I spoke to her earlier today. Delia Lawrie, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Why do you think things went so wrong for the Labor Party in the bush?
Look, I want to go out and listen to people before I form a firm view. Obviously, people have been saying the intervention has caused a lot of grief, a feeling of disempowerment. The intervention, of course, was a Liberal product backed by CLP people who are now have now won seats. Obviously, the Shire reforms around the same time as the intervention, just off the back of it, people concerned about getting power back to local councils. And I know Terry Mills has gone out promising that the Shire reforms will be dismantled, that they'll go back to local councils. So if that's the case, I challenge Terry Mills, put it in his 100-day plan to deliver on a promise to the bush.
Well, in terms of the Shires then, are you going to be dumping your Shires policy from your policy platform given the problems that it's caused you at this election?
Look, what we wanted to do was have a look at the Shires. We did that with KPMG going through their financial sustainability. We had set up a task force, obviously that no longer exists. But I'll be working with our local government shadow minister, Lynn Walker out in Nhulunbuy, using that KPMG report really as a guide to refining, the approach to policy on Shires. So will we stay rigidly where we are? No, because we'd already indicated that we were going to move to particularly strengthening those local boards. Now, the KPMG report is a blueprint for a way forward, and that will give us an opportunity to refine our own policy.
Sounds like they were a large part of the result, though. Do you agree that Shires were your Achilles heel?
Look, I think people's ambitions in the bush, genuine ambitions, were also a part of the mix, and I want to hear about that. Now, we've got a proud record of having put school into the bush where it didn't exist before, putting new housing out there, refurbing housing, building roads, but there was always, and health clinics and police stations, but there was always more, genuinely more, that people wanted to see done. I hear, and again, it's just what you hear, that the CLP were running around on the ground for quite a while saying, oh, don't worry, we'll fix that road there, we'll build that building there. Now, I was looking very keenly when they put in their Treasury costings last minute on the Thursday to see exactly what was down in those costings for the bush. Now, there was some money for the homelands, which of course we had in our commitments. Other than that, there was not a cent. So what I'll be doing is saying to Terry Mills, well, you've made all those promises, you really need to keep them.
Are you uneasy at all about the way that the Country Liberals were campaigning in some of these bush seats and the way they were contrasting the Aboriginality of some of their candidates against the more urban Indigenous candidates that Labor was running?
Well, look, I think any negative campaign really needs to be, scrutinised, and what I'm hearing around some of the, nasty personal attacks is quite appalling. There isn't a place for that if you're going to run as a credible government, and it's sad. An Aboriginal person is an Aboriginal person, whether they have remained on country with culture permanently or whether they have had an urban upbringing. The reality is they are strong Aboriginal people with their culture, and our members who are Aboriginal people, Carl Hampton, Marion Scrimgeour, Malindir McCarthy, they are strong Aboriginal people, and for people to really cast aspersions on them and their culture is just absurd.
You've got some soul searching to do and some rebuilding to do. How will you go about regaining the trust of Indigenous people in the bush?
Look, I think that takes time. I think that anyone who thinks that you can get out there and have one meeting would be kidding themselves. As I'm fond of saying to people, we've started a marathon, not a sprint. We have 4 years in opposition to get out in the bush and to rebuild the strength and the networks and the relationships. I think what will be our advantage, though, is that, quite frankly, I do not believe that Terry Mills will deliver on everything that the CLP said that they would give people in the bush. They can't remove the basics card. And they certainly have been promising a whole raft of things right across the territory that they gave no funding to, yet at the same time they're saying they will return the budget to surplus in the first 4 years. Now, during the campaign, I described those promises as fairy dust. If you don't fund them, if they're not in your election commitments submitted to Treasury, where are you going to get the money from? My great fear is that they will slash the public service right across the territory. Thousands of jobs will be lost.
Paul Henderson has taken personal responsibility for what happened at the weekend, but what was your role in the campaign and what responsibility do you take?
Look, I like to think it's a shared responsibility. I know Paul, being the man he is absolutely stepping up and taking full responsibility. That's the sort of man he is. He's very genuine and very decent about that. But it is a shared responsibility. We operated as a team in government, we'll operate as a team in opposition, and we'll each do our bit to make sure we build.
Delia Lawrie, thanks for being on the program.
Thank you.